Have you ever thought about leaving the profession, changing careers? Before you do that, you need to tune into this video. My name is Dr. Garcia. I help sports and cash-based physical therapists thrive in their practice and improve their clinical outcomes and patient satisfaction. You ever thought, is PT for me? Is it really the thing I want to do? You know what? I don't like my patients. They're inactive. They're lazy. They don't show up. My boss is horrible. I can never get the outcomes that I want. I've taken all the CEUs. I've read all the articles, and it just doesn't seem for me. I feel like I'm overwhelmed. I'm PT burnout. I'm working my lunches. I'm working nights. I'm working weekends. And the quick and easy thing that most people do is they dabble. They think, well, okay, this is hard, but you know what? If I go into engineering, this is going to be much easier. Or if you know what? I'm going to switch careers. I'm going to be an accountant. That's what I'm going to do. And you strive, you do all this work for 5, 7, 10, 15 years, and you put all this hard work. And just because you hit a couple points of burnout and a couple points of frustration, you did all this work on undergrad, then PT school, maybe you did a residency, maybe you went straight into work, and then you hit this bottom of the funnel where it's just this pathway you just can't break through, and you're like, this career path is horrible. And you're like, well, I love outpatient. I'll never do hospital. I'll never do pediatrics. And so you're like, it's ortho or nothing. And that nothing is you start to dabble into other career paths or other things or side hustles that are like not even close to PT. So now you put all this energy and effort into something else that you think is going to be, the sexy, shiny object that you're like, I'm going to make more money with less effort on this thing. This is the thing. You've already put your time, effort, and energy. Before you start quitting your profession and giving up everything that you put into this, you need to hear a few things. I understand where you're at. I've had those thoughts, but the great news is I've pushed all the way through it, and I've helped people do the same. Now, here's a couple things you have to understand. All right. You put significant amount of time and money here. The easy thing is to go that route. Now, here's the reality, right? You ever tried that with a girlfriend, a partner, a spouse, your vehicle? Anything that you do, that's natural. You were probably dating somebody, you're like, that was boring. I'm kind of tired of them. They're okay, but they're not for me. Or maybe even worse, you married somebody and you're like, that was fun for like 5 years. And you're like, that's kind of boring too, because it's hard. It's hard to communicate with them. They don't understand me. They don't value me. The problem is not the spouse, not the problem is not the job, not the problem, not the career, it's you. If you really understand this, you're trying to escape from the hard things, the hard job, the hard relationship, the hard decisions. You gotta have some of these breakthrough moments where you're coming through and you're like, all right, I'm in it, but what is going to make this more enjoyable, an easier, streamlined process? What can I do to make this better for me? All right, the great part is, it's a you challenge, nothing more. It's probably not your employer. Before you start thinking about, all right, how do I get out of this employer? You keep switching jobs every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, because like that management was horrible. These coworkers are horrible. These patients are horrible. So you just keep fleeing. But the problem is you're becoming a vagabond because you don't have a direction. You don't have anything you're working towards. You're just hoping life just becomes easier for you. Now stop being a dabbler and find the root of this. All right, what about your profession would make you happy? You ready for this? Start with who you want to work with. Who are the athletes that you want to work with? Who are the patients you want to work with? Let's start there before you move on into how much money you want to make. Who is it that you want to work with? I love working with pro sports. I love working with community members. I love working with motivated, active people or inactive who want to become active. That is my passion. I will do that all day. That fills my cup. You got to figure out who that is for you. Perfect. Once you figure that out, where do you find more of those people? What setting? Which job location? Where are they located? How do you acquire more? Maybe you're in a rural area. I want more of those people. Great, obsess about that. Obsess about, okay, now I gotta work on some marketing. How do I work on getting more of those patients in? What run club do I need to go to? What weightlifting club? What trail hiking do I need to work with? In either case, obsess about that because your energy will be filled into something you're passionate about, and that's the problem. Most people start thinking, well, it's easy. You know what? I don't like this company. I'll start my own company. I'll do all this work. When in reality, you don't want that stress. You don't want any of that, because that's going to be the same problem later. this business thing wasn't for me. I was a wrong location, wrong area. Or maybe you have your own business and you're thinking, I just want to quit. Well, you quit your employed job because you didn't like it, poor patience, and then you're now employed by yourself and you're like, who are you gonna blame it on? You can't blame it on the employee, now you're gonna blame it on the patient. Oh, this environment, this economy, blah, blah, blah. When the reality is it's you, it's always you. There's no such thing as somebody else's problem. So what you have to understand is, all right, figure out your who. Who do you want to work with? Great. How do you get more of those people? How do you get marketing to come into this? Or is there already a company that's already established with that? Perfect. Try and figure out how you work in that ecosystem. But the problem becomes you chase after pay and you become you have lower passion for it, and that creates the problem. That's what dabbling is because you're always trying to chase something. Now, if you're passionate about it and you're making enough to make you happy and life is great, that's where the root is. So you got to find a company that already has that established. If not, start looking at, well, what do I need to do to acquire those more people in my company? Because what will happen is it's very easy to think, you know what, I'll just build it over here, but that's hours and years of work. Or make it work in your current situation. Or you already have that job. This is your company, whatever it is. How do you find more of those people? Start working, pushing through those hard parts. But the problem is most people don't want to push that. And that's why most small businesses fail within, I think it's 90% of small businesses fail within 5 years. And then another 1% of those people who survive that only survive to 10 years. So the reality is you don't want to be part of those metrics. If you want to be a part of those metrics, that's fantastic. But at some point you got to be able to push through the 5-year mark and the 10-year mark. If you're employed, the great part is there's options out there. You can go in network, you can be out of network, you can be cash. It really doesn't matter. But the problem is you're trying to say, it's not for me, it's too hard, this is not the right job, it's not the right time, economy's tough. The reality is you can't push through. You don't know the resource. You don't know what's possible on the other side. And I've been through that. And after doing a residency, after working in pro sports for 10 years, after traveling the world as a concierge physical therapist, after opening a cash-based company to opening to 15 employees in 3 locations, I've been through that. I know exactly where you're at. And I can tell you right now, if you're dabbling, the problem is not your setting. The problem is you. And you need to understand that. If you don't understand that, you will always be in this constant wheel of, I need a new partner, I need a new job, I need more money, I need a better car. And the challenge is you can't understand that you are the dabbler and you need to move away from dabbling. Commit to something. Commit to your partner, commit to your spouse, commit to your job, and figure out how you can be absolutely amazing in every one of those aspects. If you've already made that commitment, make it work through it. Just because social media and other people tell you, if you're not happy, just move on. Why can't you push through? What is the root? It's you. So what do you need to do? Find the people you want to work with. Make sure that environment is culturally sound. And push through that, find new resources, and you'll be happier than ever because that's where you're stuck. So the next time you start thinking about dabbling, instead of looking at the other location, the other job, the other places, figure out, okay, what can I do inside this facility right now to maximize who I am personally and professionally, and then work with your employer, work with your management, work with any team. And if you don't have any team or management or leadership who's on your side, that's probably why you're dabbling. Try and find someone else who will help you get through that process. I can tell you that's probably the best thing you can do, whether you're 3 years in. If you're listening to this, you're probably 3 years in, 5 years in, 8 years in, having these thoughts. If you're the third year DPC student or first or second year new grad, you haven't hit those walls because you're coming in with pure lust and passion. You will hit that soon, and you now need to start thinking about this. So I hope this helps you on your professional development to avoid being a dabbler and being an absolute legend in sports PT. Enjoy. Hi, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification for my weekly tips on treating cash pay patients, becoming that expert in your community, and thriving in business. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.